Hey there, I'm Carmen.
And I'm Kristine. We're so glad you're here.
You can find links to connect with us in the show notes. So let's get started. Hey, Kristine.
Hey, Carmen. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Hey, friends that's joining us for our
Yes.
podcast, our YouTube video. Isn't it good to see Kristine's face again, y'all? Hear her voice. We've missed her. We missed her. And she's got her cute little short haircut going on there. So, it's good to have her here.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Happy to see you guys. It feels like it's been a long time, even though I know we've been kind of in and out. Carmen and I did some recordings of some episodes when early on before I was, needing to take a little rest with all of the health battle that's been going on in my life. But I am through all of the big stuff for now. So we're
Yeah.
excited about that. So I'm happy to be back and happy to be here to talk about a very important topic with everybody.
Yeah, yeah. So let's just jump right into that. So today we're going to talk about real ways, real strategies to win the battle with what if questions. So let's jump right in, Kristine.
Yes, what if questions. Now, if you've been with us since the beginning, you may have a memory of us talking about what if questions before. And we have. We did talk about that early on. And in that episode, I shared a strategy that I use that I talk about in my book, Cinched, about Rahab and what I learned from her about what if questions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a little confused about what we're talking about, just to throw this out there, if you haven't thought about this before, a what if question, what we're basically just talking about is those questions that try to gain power in your mind
Mm-hmm.
and cause fear, worry, doubt because it just fills you with all of the worst things that can happen. What if
Right.
this happens? What if
Mm-hmm.
that happens? And it
Right.
makes us feel like we've lost control
Mm-hmm.
or we are, worried about what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
And so those can be really debilitating,
Mm-hmm.
and if you are prone to, um, if you're a go-getter, if you're a doer, you might be prone to what if questions because you like to be able to handle things. You like to be
Right.
able to be
Right.
in control. You
The
like to
plan.
know what the
Mm-hmm.
outcome's going to be. So I was listening back to this episode and I don't, it had to be God. That's all I can say. It had to be God that prompted me to listen to this episode again because it had been, has it been 2 years ago, I think?
Probably. It's like episode number 6 or something.
Yeah. And it really blessed me to hear our conversation about it. But I actually said something in that episode that just gave me goosebumps because I was talking about a what if question that I struggled with. And that was, what if the cancer comes back?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time that we recorded that episode, I was living cancer free.
Right.
I had been through treatments, I had been healed from it, no evidence of disease. It had been about 4 years that I was living my life. And so told the listeners
Yeah.
that that's a struggle for me, that question, what if the cancer comes back? So here we are 2 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm dealing with even more than I could have imagined that
Yeah.
would have happened. It wasn't the exact same cancer that came back, but I had never imagined in a million years that I would be dealing with another cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, Carmen? It was amazing because in that moment, I thought, well, I could be frustrated. I could be bitter. I could
Mm-hmm.
be angry
Mm-hmm.
because I'm dealing with cancer again.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I really felt a peace because I knew that God had helped me live worry free and not living each day of my life
Yeah.
worried. Now, did the what if questions come? Yes,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
But I learned strategies to how to deal with those so that
Mm-hmm.
I could have joy and peace in my life.
Yeah.
And I just thought right then, we need to talk about this again because in that episode, I shared one strategy, but we need to share more because we're all different.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that one strategy I shared doesn't work for you, and
Yeah.
that's okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
Carmen, today we're going to share a couple more strategies that will help us. And I'm excited about it, help us
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah.
these what if questions because where I am now today, I'm doing well, but I can tell you those what if questions are going to come.
Yeah,
They're going
yeah,
to
yeah,
come, and they may even come stronger than they did before. And so I need to be ready for them.
yeah, yeah. What was that strategy that we had in that first episode? Do you remember the one you shared?
I do. It was trading what ifs for living as if. And I'll share the link to the episode so that you can go back and listen to it if you're interested in that strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I won't, since we're going to get into ours, I won't talk about it too much
Right,
here, but
right.
it is a good one. So we'll definitely put that link there so you can go back and listen to that if you're interested.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I was listening to Susie Larson's podcast. I don't know Susie Larson live. I don't know if you guys ever listened to her, but she often ministers to me. And she had a guest on, Dr. Lee Warren. He was talking about fear. So I was listening to him as I was traveling to the dentist this week. I was listening to that website. I mean to that podcast. And he had this great quote. I'm going to read that. He says, "How do we create hope?" And sometimes we think that we're hopeless or we have no hope. And I just loved this strategy that he gave I keep saying website, in the podcast. He says, "How do you create hope?" He says, "Memory and movement. We look back and remember the ways God was there, how he saw us through." My pastor always likes to say, "You've survived your worst day so far. You're a warrior. You're a survivor. You have survived you're good. You have survived your worst day so far." And I like that. But he said, Dr. Lee Warren says, you look back and you remember how God's been there. He talked about taking control of your nervous system. And that resonated with me, Kristine, because I'm a what if girl. We talked about in the very first episode about me being the scenario queen. And so that really resonated with me because my nervous system can get so overwhelmed, trembly almost, just trying to sort things out. He said, you take control of your nervous system, you preach to yourself. And so that's my strategy that I want to talk about, is that we turn that what if, the what if question is normally a negative question. What if this happens? But what about if we can turn that around and make that a positive? And I think that when Adam and Eve were in the garden and Satan sowed distrust in Eve's heart about that she couldn't trust God. He sowed that in her heart. And of course she fed it, she allowed it, she entertained it, she helped it grow. But when he sowed that in her, the rest of us going forward struggle with that. Struggle with wait for that next shoe to drop. What's gonna happen next kind of thing. And we just have that tendency. So in Psalms 124:1, and that's a great psalm if you hadn't read it. It's a psalm of ascent. So that means they're singing this as David wrote it. They're singing it as they ascend to Jerusalem for what? Festivals and Passovers and stuff. For whatever reasons why they come. But anyway, Psalms 124:1 in the New Living Translation says, "What if the Lord had not been on our side?" And I love that because that's kind of doing what Dr. Lee Warren talks about, and is that we remember. And it's his that podcast was like confirmation because you and I had already talked about Psalms 124:1, and we were talking about strategies. And I said, I want to talk about turning that negative into a positive question instead of what if this is going to happen? What if God had not been on our side? It's great how the Holy Spirit just confirms things to you. So we reframe our perspective, basically. And when you reframe your perspective, you change your reaction to it, to whatever your situation that you're in. So another way to reframe your perspective is what Kristine's about to talk about. And that always, when you reframe your perspective to a more positive perspective, that makes a big difference in how you're going to react to any situation, but especially a difficult situation you're in.
Yes, I love that because when you think about it, when a what if question comes to my mind,
Mm-hmm.
it can cause all of these negative things. It
Right.
causes fear.
Mm-hmm.
It causes worry. It causes doubt.
Yeah.
So the longer I entertain it, the more I'm
Mm-hmm.
being vulnerable to those
Right.
things, to
Right.
fear, worry, and doubt. And I don't want to give the impression to our listeners that we can completely silence what if questions. Now, for some people, that may be true.
Mm-hmm.
God may completely deliver you in
Mm-hmm.
that area. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that He can. But for me, I've had to learn how to talk back to those what if questions,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
to put them in their place, and remind myself that I have more power within me
Mm-hmm.
than those questions do.
Yeah.
And so that Psalm 121 and 1,
Mm-hmm.
when you read that what if question, which is positive,
Yeah.
what if the Lord had not been on our side? Man, it makes me just want to march out in battle.
I know.
It doesn't make me want to cower in fear.
Right. Right.
The Lord is on my side.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
ready to face the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just the feeling that it gives me is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're talking about there, just turning it into a positive, and I love that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So when you had told me about, you mentioned Psalm 124 to me, I thought of so many people that I wanted to share that verse with. Like so,
Mm-hmm.
so many people that are going through situations where they feel like, what if this happens? What if that? And they're going through all this angst and worry. And I wanted to just send them Psalm 124 and 1 and say, the Lord is on your side.
That's right.
So I started looking at some different versions. And one that I found that really spoke to my heart was the CEB, which is the Common English Bible. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
one that I read a lot, but I
Mm-hmm.
just came across it in my studies. And that translation says, if the Lord hadn't been for us,
Mm-hmm.
let Israel now repeat, if the Lord hadn't been for us when those people attacked us, then they would have swallowed us up whole with their rage burning against us. And that thought, God is for us. It
Yeah.
reminded me of the one of the verses that may be familiar to you guys. It's one that I learned early on. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Yes.
Romans 8 and 31. I learned to say that when I was in battle. And it's just a reminder there again that God is for us. So that's my strategy I want to share
Mm-hmm.
today. And it's one that this is new to me. So I'm going to be starting today with this one. And I
Mm-hmm.
hope that it helps you guys too. There are so many reminders in scripture that God is for us.
Yeah.
And if I remember when I get a what if question to say, God is for me,
Yes.
those four words,
Yes.
then that's something that will put an end to it right there.
Yeah.
That shows God is for me. There's no reason for me to worry about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's another verse, and I'll put these in the show notes too, so you guys can check them out later. But another one that reminds us that God is for us is Psalm 118, 6 and 7. And this is also in the NLT. And it says, the Lord is for me, so I will have no fear. What can mere people do to me? Yes, the Lord is for me. I love how they repeat it.
Yes.
He will help me. I will look in triumph at those who hate me. So just
Wow.
just a confirmation there. God is for us. That's my strategy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, y'all, these are such, if you go back to the first one, that the first episode we did, as if, instead of
Hmm.
what if, and then you take these two strategies here. This is some really good things for your toolbox that to be able to use. I used them last night. I was having some troubled thoughts, and I used them last night. This is a great tools for your toolbox to combat those what if questions that come into our mind continually. And if you're like me, you're kind of predisposed to those kind of questions, I guess. My personality, and then probably the environment of me, of my being raised, those kind of things. I can ask some what if questions. Y'all, these are some great strategies. So, as if from the first podcast, um, turning that negative into a positive and saying, what if this happens? Say, what if the Lord had not been on my side?
Hmm.
Remind yourself, and reminding yourself that God is for you. When those
Yes.
what if this happens, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to take those thoughts captive because God is for me. God is for me. Yeah, I love that. Um, Y'all, as our resources time, we're gonna put the a link to we really had those that what if episode twice on the podcast, maybe not on the YouTube channel, but episode 6 we did it, and then I reshared it episode 36 to say, this was a good thing people need to be reminded of. So we're gonna put those links for the podcast links and the YouTube video links as our resource this at this time in the show notes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
put links to that in the show notes so you can go back and listen to it if you just want a refresher of that, and a lot of good information there. And also, we've got all new episodes coming up from now until the end of the year. I'm just so thrilled to be in a place to be past. The last 8 months have been quite the health battle, and we have different seasons that we walk through. We're going to be talking about some of those things coming up from now to the end of the year. So if you have not subscribed on the YouTube channel, you can hit the subscribe button. On if you listen on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, you can hit the follow button. And just out of curiosity, if there is anything that comes to your mind or is on your heart that you think would be good for us to talk about, that you'd love to hear our thoughts on, share that with us. We have our emails available in the show notes, and we'll be sure and put those there again. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear what you would like to hear us talk about.
Yes, yes. Y'all, so good to have everybody here. Good to see you if
Yes.
you're on the video. Good to talk to you if you're on the podcast. And and it was good to have Kristine back with us. So,
Yes. Loved seeing everybody, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
yep, we'll be back soon. Bye.
Bye bye.